Look, we all think we know Amazon, right? But what if I told you there's a secret engine? Something hidden that really powers the whole thing?
Yeah, when you hear Amazon, you picture this, don't you? The boxes showing up at your door, that 2 day shipping promise, the low prices. It feels like this massive, unstoppable retail machine. But here's the thing, behind that retail giant, there's a secret, a financial engine that's paying for, well, everything. And it's something most of us never even see. And that brings up this huge puzzle. Let's call it the Amazon paradox. How on earth can a company that sells stuff for super cheap, a low margin retailer, possibly spend billions on crazy innovation? I mean, we see it every day, right? The endless stream of boxes, that Prime delivery getting faster and faster, and prices that make you wonder how they even make money. Right. That's the billion-dollar question. Retail is a notoriously tough business with razor-thin profits. So where is the cash coming from for these wild futuristic projects? We're talking satellite internet with Project Cooper, self-driving cars with Zoox, and literally billions poured into AI. How is that possible? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is hiding in plain sight. It's right there in Amazon's own financial reports. You just have to know exactly where to look. Okay, so the treasure map, if you will, is in this one section of their reports called segment information. This is where they slice their whole giant company into three main chunks: North America retail, international retail, and something called Amazon Web Services, or AWS. All right, let's get into it. See, most people glance at the big headline revenue number and move on, but that's a mistake because it hides the real story. When we look at these three segments separately, that's when we see where the money is actually made. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, AWS. This is the profit engine. And what we're about to see is this incredible, stunning contrast between how much they sell and how much they keep. So first up, let's look at net sales from their Q3 2025 report. And, this kind of looks like what you'd expect. North America retail is the giant here, pulling in over $106 billion. And AWS? It's big, for sure, at $33 billion, but it's actually the smallest of the three when it comes to sales. Okay, hold on. This is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because what happens when we stop looking at sales and start looking at actual profit? The fancy term is operating income, basically the money that's left over after all the bills are paid. The whole picture, it just flips on its head. And boom, there it is. This is the financial mic drop. Just look at this. In that very same quarter, AWS pulled in a staggering $11.4 billion in profit. That's more than double what the massive retail business in North America made. And it's almost 10 times the profit from their entire international operation. It's just wow. So how is this even possible? Well, here's the magic number. The operating margin for AWS was nearly 35%. That is an absolutely insane profit margin for a business this huge. For perspective, the retail side of things runs on margins that are way, way thinner. And just so you know, this wasn't a fluke. It's not a one-time thing. Look at the data across the whole year. Q1, Q2, Q3, it's the same story every single quarter. AWS is the consistent moneymaker, generating the vast majority of the company's profit, period. Okay, so the big question is, what happens to all that cash? Where do all these billions from AWS actually go? Well, that leads us right into how the cloud fuels, well, everything else at Amazon. For starters, it's what makes their retail business so dominant. Think about it. That AWS profit is what pays for those crazy fast Prime delivery speeds. It's what funds the expansion of same-day delivery to places that never had it before. And here's the kicker. It lets them keep prices super low, basically subsidizing them to crush the competition. And that's not all. It also fuels the future. All those sci-fi projects you hear about, they're bankrolled by the cloud. We're talking about Project Cooper, their plan for satellite internet, the Zoox robotaxis, the billions they're spending on their own AI chips, and their massive investments in other AI companies like Anthropic. You can think of AWS as Amazon's own in-house venture capital firm. And you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO himself, Andy Jassy, basically said it out loud. He said that AI, which is a huge part of AWS, by the way, is making every single part of their business better. This isn't an accident, it's the whole strategy. So why is this structure so important? Why should you care? Because it creates this incredibly powerful self-feeding loop. They call it the Amazon flywheel. It's actually pretty brilliant. Here's how it works. 1. AWS prints money with its huge profits. 2. That money gets pumped into the retail side to keep prices low and to fund all that cool new tech. 3. This makes the whole Amazon world bigger and better. More people sign up for Prime, more people shop. And 4, this is the key. That bigger ecosystem means more businesses need powerful cloud services. And guess where they go? Right back to AWS. And the wheel just keeps spinning faster and faster. So what this all means is that we have to completely change how we think about this company. Amazon isn't a retail company that just happens to have a little tech division on the side. The way we all see it, the illusion, is that it's a giant store that also sells from cloud stuff. But the reality, when you follow the money, is the complete opposite. Amazon is a cloud computing titan that just happens to run a really, really big retail store. To put it as simply as possible, the cloud is paying for the box on your doorstep. And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. If the cloud is already paying for all the boxes, what else is it going to pay for?